Welcome to Pods with Posh and Paul, a podcast designed to inspire and challenge listeners through story, experience and insight. To face adversity, learn from suffering and discover how to embrace life with a heart filled with love and gratitude. We are so thrilled to have you journey with us and can't wait to share your stories. Join Sue O'Callaghan and Joanne Webb as we disrupt the theory that everyone has perfect lives.
Morning, Sue. This is a bit different for us, isn't it? How are you?
Good. We're normally side by side sitting in the same room, aren't we? But today we're actually in separate houses in isolation.
I know. So, hi everyone. What we thought we would do is, as we are, well, lots of us around the world are going into lockdown, whether you're already in lockdown or you're preparing for lockdown, there's a lot of change going on right now. So, we are all about improving mental health and strengthening mental fitness. So we thought we would start doing lives most days to help us through the changes and what's going on. So Sue and I from Pods with Posh and Paul will be with you daily, probably, rambling on the way we do. And we just want to keep our community going and our spirits high. So today we're going to talk about trauma.
Lots of you are in shutdown, lockdown, self-isolation, and I think there's a lot, Joe and I together think there's a lot of trauma there. There's shock, instant change. And I said, Joe, yesterday to my daughter that came back from uni, it's a bit like being evacuated in a war zone, the evacuees that suddenly had to go up and leave everything, change lifestyles.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's something that none of us have ever really experienced in our life before, is it? This what's happening right now. There's been pandemics around the world, but probably with knowledge and experience, it's something totally new. However, trauma is not new, is it? Trauma is something that's happening all the time. Whether you've lost a loved one, been made redundant, any kind of adversity or any kind of suffering you've been through in your life, trauma will be part of it. And I think what's going to happen now and what I've noticed, especially even just with my children, I think you're the same. So it brings up the feelings that's happening now is bringing up trauma. Obviously, there's traumatic things happening now, but it's also bringing up the trauma from the past. And no matter how we've experienced trauma, if we don't talk about it, if we don't share it, then it stays with us, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is that our feelings are very valid, aren't they? And it's actually, rather than with our children, with our friends, online, with our family, rather than bearing those feelings, to actually acknowledge. And you and I, Joe, are always about acceptance. Whatever situation you face is, number one, accepting the situation that you're in. This has happened. We need to sit in it. We can't change it. We can't change lockdown. We can't change the virus situation. We need to accept where we're at. And trauma covers so many different emotions, doesn't it, Joe? It covers anger, sadness, loss, grief. It actually covers rage as well. And in a sense of injustice, something really awful has happened to you that you didn't expect, that you didn't plan. And it's actually acknowledging and accepting and being in that position of such strong feelings and emotions.
Because I think what's going to happen as well, because obviously we've all been given notice of lockdown and we've all been watching or listening to the news over the last several months since we all learned about COVID-19. And I think, I don't know about you, but definitely over the last few days, I knew it was coming. We could kind of sense it in the air, especially here in New Zealand. We knew it was going to happen. And we've all been then in preparation mode. So when you are preparing for something, some people have been going out crazy panic buying and doing all that kind of stuff. We've probably been a little bit more sensible in our approach. I brought my work home from the office and set up an office here. Just made sure there's a couple of things in the cupboard to keep us going for the next few days because we still can go to the supermarket. Anyway, it's preparation, isn't it? Making sure all the children are okay, making sure the neighbours are okay, making sure you've got fuel in your car if you need it. It's preparation. However, that will mask some of the trauma. So I think what we want to say is, you will experience a heck of a lot of feelings over the next month. I think there'll be lots of things coming out. And so if you do experience, as you just said, rage, hurt, sadness, frustration, anger, injustice, these are all normal things to feel. It's okay. And again, we accept the situation. We should accept our feelings as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really critical, Jo. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because you've got 4 children, I've got 4 children. Between us, we've got roughly 8 teenagers, kind of at the top end or the bottom ends. And what my second child, my eldest child, came back within 2 days' notice from England last week. He had little notice to pack up from Hall's residence and get on a flight and leave. My second daughter drove up from Wellington yesterday to Auckland, which was about a 9-hour journey, and she literally had hours to leave, to pack up her room, to pack up she's studying architecture, so to pack up everything in the studio and bring it all back. And she was telling me stories yesterday of people in halls of residence that, I mean, we're in New Zealand, so we've only just started university, so the students have just been down there for a month, the halls were closing. Some people's parents and said, I've booked your flight, you've got to come home in 2 hours, because obviously the lockdown had just been announced. And they had to pack up their studio work, they had to pack up their halls, they had to get on a plane and come home. They'd lost their friends, they lost their routine, they lost their family connection in the flats they're sharing. And it was literally without warning, there was no preparation. And what struck me last night was the sense she was just in shell shock. She arrived home after a long journey in a room that she didn't want to be in. We were cramped in terms of space. And coming home for a weekend is very different. You look forward to coming home for the weekend, but she was just in shell shock, telling me these awful stories. And it wasn't just what she'd gone through, it was what she was watching other people go through. 7 girls in her flat, packing and leaving in an instant. And I think when things change very suddenly, without that preparation as well that you talked about earlier, then the shock plays such a huge part in grief as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like, as you say, you know, there's empathy going on for other people, there's sadness for yourself, there's the unknown, and I think the unknown brings up a lot of trauma as well, doesn't it? Because it's the uncertainty. There's all these words that we will go over many, many times over the next few days, I'm sure, because they all come under different brackets for different reasons, don't they?
Yeah. And you and I, Jo, we have been live about once a week or twice a week, but we're going to go live every day. And we really want to empower you as listeners and say, we so understand your situation. If you listen to some of our podcasts, you'll get to know a bit more about Jo's background and my background and where we've been. And we've been through trauma. We've been through horrific suffering in our lives as well. We may not have been through the exact suffering you're going through, but we always say suffering is suffering, trauma is trauma, pain is pain. So we acknowledge where you're at, and we understand that a lot of you have been separated from ones that you love, from jobs that are really important to you. You can't see a way forward, and you're stuck in a place you actually can't see the light. And we are here with you. We want to walk with you every day, don't we, Jo?
Totally. And, you know, as we say, there's going to be multitude of emotions that happen. You know, there will be some great stories that come out of this, and there'll be stories of sadness as well, because there's always that polarity, isn't there? And I think our biggest message is always acceptance, isn't it? Acceptance is the first step to any kind of recovery or any kind of moving forward. If we don't accept, we generally get stuck where we are. So if we can start to accept things, that trauma within us, we can accept that that's how we're feeling, the injustices and things like that, then we're much more likely to move forward and for it to be a positive experience for all of us.
And Jo, we also always say to be kind to yourself in the middle of whatever you're going through. And, you know, often we say go for a nice walk or connect with nature. And I know a lot of you can't do that right now. So we would encourage you to still within the home do something really nice for yourself. If you've got a bath, run a bath and put candles in it. Do something really nurturing for you. Go in the garden and just water the plants. Something where you've got some time for you, separate from the needs of everybody else in your household. And if you're alone, then connect online with a friend, reach out, ask for help. And it's so much easier to give help than it is to receive. But be in a position where you can actually ask. People want to be asked at this time, don't they, Jo?
Oh, absolutely. You know, the first thing I thought about was a friend that lives alone, and I wrote to her the other day and I said, do you want to come and live here? She's like, no, you're okay, I'm going to work from home. And I'm not surprised she didn't want to, I'm not surprised she didn't want to come and live here with the 4 kids, like, you know, but I'd still offer, do you want to come and live here? I just don't want people in isolation. So,
well, yeah. I was thinking about, you know, we just got my son out from England on time. He couldn't really see the sense of urgency, but we just said, you've got to get on a flight in a day's time. If you don't, you might not get back, because at the time they were shutting all the connecting flights from the UK via America. And so he got a Dubai flight. But then today and yesterday I was seeing online that people are now stuck because Singapore shut its borders, Malaysia have, Hong Kong have. So actually those people in England that wanted to come home, those people that wanted to get back from New Zealand or Australia to Europe can't. And there was a message from somebody in England saying their friends in Auckland, can somebody put her up? She's desperate. She's 21. She was traveling. She didn't get back. She had 4 flights cancelled. She bought 4 separate flights, one after the other. So I said, of course you can come and live with us. You know, we're in chaos. I've suddenly got 2 extra children in our small little house, but of course you can. I haven't heard back from her. But again, that sense of generosity, people want to help, and just ask. Whatever it is you need, just ask. And it's a question of sometimes humbling ourselves, isn't it, Jo, to actually be in a position to ask, because pride stops us. But Jo and I also talk a lot about the incredible journey we go on when we face suffering and don't run away from it, and the beauty that we can find in it. And I've got a lovely quote, Jo. Can I share it?
Yeah, please do.
So this is from H.E. Olsen, where she says, the hardest thing to ever do is to reveal the naked soul to the world. However, in doing so brings healing, growth, strength, and powerful inspiration.
It's so true, because like we always say, don't we, in our time of suffering, in times of adversity, is when you grow the most, because you learn so much about yourself. You also learn so much about other people and human behaviour, but mainly learning about yourself is where the growth is, isn't it? Learning why you were in trauma, how you can come out of trauma, what you can do to help yourself, helps us just grow as individuals.
Absolutely. And we always say that we are live, or whether it's just a recording on our podcast, we are so real, we are raw, and we're vulnerable, because we make mistakes. We don't have the equipment to record. We're not polished in any sense. What you see is what you get. I've just tried to throw some breakfast together for my 4 children. Jo's obviously come back from her amazing fitness classes that she does. She has this incredible regime. We are raw and vulnerable, but in vulnerability comes the growth. And so in accepting the suffering and the pain and the trauma, then we also say, but there will be incredible growth, and we'll go with the growth. We'll just go with what comes out of it, and just to be in it right now.
And so I think over the next few days, we will be talking about many subjects. So if anybody wants to get in touch with us via email or on our Facebook page or Instagram, Pods with Posh and Paul, or podswpp@gmail.com. Please do write to us, and we'll talk about any subjects you want to talk about. But I think there's going to be, well, you know, it's not all going to be doom and gloom. There's going to be some great things that come out of this as well.
And tomorrow we're going to talk on goal setting, aren't we? I know in New Zealand we've got a month. Different countries have got a different amount of time to be on lockdown. We've got a month here, so we thought that it would be a really good time tomorrow to talk about goal setting. What do you want your month to look like? 'Cause it's very easy to drift through the month and maybe not have achieved anything at the end, but actually goal setting is really important. So we'd love to do some goal setting with you. And also on the side, we're still releasing our podcasts. We're aiming to release 1 or 2 a week. If you have got an incredible story you'd like to tell, an inspirational story, or you'd like to come on a podcast and have a chat with us, then again, as Jo says, email us, and we'd love to do some recordings of different situations. But please do go on to our Facebook page and like us, Pods with Posh and Paul, and please share us so that we get seen by the world. We feel there's many people doing fitness classes online at the moment. We'd love to be these people, the ones that actually inspire you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, to actually get you to walk through this journey. Not only walk through it, but thrive at the end of it. Thrive now, isn't it, Jo? It's not just about surviving.
Absolutely. So our message today really is your feelings are valid. Whether it's trauma, sadness, hurt, rage, upset, excitement. Some people are going to be the total opposite end of it, happiness, because you're going to have some time to yourself. Whatever you're feeling right now, worried, stressed, just accept it right now, and then you can work on working through it. But acceptance is the first step. And can I finish with a quote?
Do, go ahead.
It's by Karen Salmonson, and she says, "If you are listening to this, you survived your life until this point. Heartbreak, losses, betrayal, trauma. And here you are. Go, fierce warrior. You are awesome."
Love it.
And that's always our message to our listeners. We believe in you. We think you are wonderful. And you are enough, and you are worthy. So hunker down, look after you, look after your family, look after your loved ones, look after your neighbours and strangers, and take care in this weird and wonderful world.
And we'll see you tomorrow for some amazing goal setting. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Thanks so much for being with us today. For us to inspire others to live their magnificently imperfect life, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or on your podcast app. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Pods with Posh and Paul. We can't wait for you to join us on our next episode. Love, light and peace.